After 4 years away, it was so good to be back. Hi everyone, my name is Lydia and I lived in Hong Kong for the first 18 years of my life. It is such a special feeling to be able to show my kids around as a local, but also just going home because they finally lifted most of their strict COVID restrictions after a few long years. In this video, I'm going to share our 20-day itinerary, which focused very much on hitting all the highlights on food and experiencing the city as a local, while taking into account what little kids can and want to do. If you're thinking about going to Hong Kong with your family, it really is so much fun. There's truly something for everyone, and slightly biased, but I would highly recommend it. Let's jump in. We flew from Minnesota to Chicago to Japan to Hong Kong. It was basically a 30-hour day of airport fun. If you're curious how that journey went, I did a whole video on it last month and I will link that down below. The last part of our journey is on a Cathay Pacific flight. And maybe this is bias or maybe it's just nostalgia, but everything about this flight feels like home. Fun fact, this airport opened in 1998 and I remember it was a pretty big deal when we had to transition from the old airport to this new one. The old one used to be on the Kowloon Peninsula, which obviously was not enough space for such a big city.
Please hold the handrail during the whole journey.
I have really missed these long trilingual train announcements. Clearly my children are fascinated with them too.
Do we see them? They're waving!
We made it! We made it home. And everyone's jet lagged. With the jet lag, this day was pretty low-key. Started the day with breakfast at UCC. We went to the local grocery store Apita to pick up some fruits and other essentials. These have got to be the most expensive cherries I've ever seen.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah, be careful.
This mall has a nice open area outside that overlooks the harbor, and there is plenty of space for little kids to run in. Looks like our girls made a friend to play tag with. And then we just hung out at home. I got a Portuguese egg tart and milk tea because that's a must. Revisiting some of my nostalgic toys from my childhood. No one has ever been able to solve this spherical Rubik's Cube thing. From my parents' balcony, I get to see the Victoria Harbour and the Kowloon Peninsula. They had to do some updating to keep the balcony to code. As you can see here, the scaffolding is still up. It always amazes me how they bring up bamboo and just strap it to the building, and it's safe, but I would just be so scared to go out there. The baby is still jet lagged. I gotta show you my Lego set. This Lego set has been passed down through a few other families and then now it's back to my kids. It's crazy how this house is literally my current house. Sunday is church day for my parents. We started our day with a neighborhood tang, which serves pretty standard Hong Kong breakfast. It's a pretty low-key joint with outdoor seating. There's macaroni and soup, toast, Hong Kong-style milk tea, obviously, ramen noodles. Oh, P.S. You'll see us wearing masks a lot in this video. That's because we visited Hong Kong before they fully lifted the mask mandate. If you go now, you won't have to mask everywhere. We then went to Cityplaza to go get some lunch. We were a little ambitious with getting a nice sit-down sushi. The kids were still jet-lagged, everyone was too tired. Food was really good though. All the malls here are decorated with Chinese New Year stuff. We picked up some Italian tomato to eat at home. I have a soft spot for Asian cakes. Now, so far we had been driving around in my dad's car, but today's the day where we get Octopus watches for the kids.
Like this one?
Octopus is like a subway card, but it also works for buses, trams, grocery stores. I think of it as a more convenient version of a debit card. For us grown-ups, we just have a regular card, but my parents wanted to treat the kids to a special watch. We went to get some Vietnamese food for lunch. This is the first time I've seen this high chair and I like it. I need to look into it. The kids went straight to unboxing their watches. It's actually not a bad idea for young children. It's much harder to lose something if you're wearing it on your wrist, right? We got some tasty coconut water, Vietnamese coffee, and then just a variety of noodle and rice dishes. I'm so proud of my kids for trying new things.
Good job. Yeah.
We went to the pastry shop to get a post-meal treat because why not? We sat by the same area outside Harbor North, the one I mentioned earlier in this video. It's just so peaceful watching the cars on the highway, boats in the harbor, and other folks going for a walk. After the treat, we went on the MTR and took it 3 stops down to Causeway Bay. And we went to Times Square. One objective is to get my kids used to taking the MTR, but the other objective is to, you guessed it, have more treats. I totally forgot to take a picture of mine, but Lady M has some pretty good cakes. On the way back, we opted to take a double-decker bus to get home. I will say as a tourist, it's probably easier to do the MTR, just because buses can be a little more unpredictable with how frequently they come by. Our jet lag is finally getting better. We got some lunch at Kaya, which is a Singaporean food joint. Their Hainanese chicken is amazing, and so are their noodles. We then took the MTR to Taikoo. Because we wanted to pick up some New Year's decorations and outfits from this mall. There are so many options and my kids wanted everything. Each kid got an outfit to wear for New Year's. I'll show you again in the next video. This mall is super kid-friendly. There's a nursing area, a baby area for changing diapers, and then there's this little arcade area in the back with so many games. You could spend a whole afternoon here. I decided to wake up before sunrise today to catch this beautiful skyline. Just kidding. The kids woke up early today because it's time to go to Disneyland. P.S. How many grandparent houses have an unused elliptical that mainly functions as a safety hazard for kids? Comment below if you have the same thing. Despite all that excitement and eagerness to leave for Disneyland, it still somehow took forever to leave the house. And when we finally got downstairs, immediately we got distracted by the flower deliveries for New Year's and the little aquarium. The same aquarium that we see every day. Eventually, we made it to the MTR. Disney is quite the trek for us from Hong Kong Island. We had to take the Blue Line to Hong Kong Station and then switch trains to the Orange Line to get to Sunny Bay, and then switch trains again to get to Disney. I think it's probably worth doing a whole separate dedicated video on Disneyland tips because we definitely made some planning mistakes here, and there are a few things I would do differently next time. After exiting the MTR, it's still quite a bit of a walk to get from the station to the actual entrance. And then through the main street area to the actual rides and attractions. This was a weekday and also before everything properly reopened, so I would imagine things are a little bit busier if you went right now. The Hong Kong Disneyland is actually the smallest Disney theme park, and they opened in 2005, which is a little bit after I left Hong Kong, so I had also never been here. And it was fun to have this first-time experience with my whole family. Now, small is a pretty relative word. This theme park is more than enough for little kids. After parking our strollers, the first ride we went on was the Cinderella Carousel. Pretty much your standard carousel offering, and always a hit with the kids. Next, we went to Dumbo the Flying Elephant, which was another great option for little kids. The lines were actually really short at these things. We barely had to wait to get on anything. Again, I think things are probably a little different now. This ride looked pretty harmless, but it was capable of some significant drops, I thought. My children seem to be bigger daredevils than I am. Good thing we can control each individual elephant with a lever. Afterwards, it's already time for lunch. We went to the banquet hall within Fantasyland, and it was okay. I mean, it's Disney food. I got a Korean fried chicken, which actually wasn't terrible, but this pizza was just sad. After we're filled up on food, we went to the next ride, which was The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. All of these rides are so far suitable for kids of any height. We got settled into our little honey jar car, which was so cute. And again, it looks benign, but then once you start, there are some pops of surprise and darker rooms and flashing lights. My kids did not love this one. Next was lining up for princesses. This was really the main thing that my girls wanted to do. This was the only real line that we had to stand in for, which was hard to do for little kids. We got to meet Ariel, and then lined up again to meet Aurora. After all that standing in line, we were ready to do something more fun. We went a little further down to the Mad Hatter's teacups. I get motion sickness easily, and luckily you can control your own teacup with this little spinny wheel in the middle. My children were nice to me. They didn't spin it too fast. It was getting late in the afternoon, so we went to see a show. This one was right outside the big castle. There were shows pretty much all day. This was also the most number of characters we've seen all day. We ended the day with a large cotton candy. At this point, the kids were giggly and overstimulated, and then we added some more sugar. What could go wrong?
Where?
I barely have any footage of us leaving Disney and the dinner because it was chaos. I hope you enjoyed our first week in Hong Kong. Make sure you are subscribed and come back next week for part 2. We revisit Disneyland, this time a little bit more prepared. We go to the Peak, Repulse Bay, eat more food, celebrate New Year's. If you have any questions in planning your trip, leave me a comment and I'll try to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!